Hello? Can anyone around here speak basketball?
There it is.
It's the Confederacy of Dunks Basketball Podcast.
We're going back to back. Welcome to the Confederacy of Dunks
Basketball Podcast.
It's really hard when I can't see you, Matt.
It's okay. We're getting there. You know, we got to start doing in-studio recordings blindfolded.
Yeah. I don't want to do that. I am the host of the podcast. My name is Freddie Rivas. And who are you, sir, on the other end talking?
Your producer, Matt Duncan.
I just want to chime in and say that sounds like a very sexy way to record a podcast, you know?
Oh, yeah. We're
blindfolds on?
Yeah, what's that Sandra Bullock show? We're going to like basically do that as we record.
Your Sandra Bullock show?
No, I said,
her movie. Oh. It was a movie. Bird Box.
Okay. You know what?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. You know what? Your reference is good. So I apologize for ruining the entire intro to the podcast.
It's all right.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Will. I mean, I think in some ways this is our best intro, but in every other way, I think it's probably the worst. But you know what? Let's still do our goddamn plugs.
All right.
Matt? Like, if people's heads are cold, what should they do?
They should buy a toque from Confederacy of Dunks. We do have a Shopify that you can go to purchase the hats, and Freddie will mail you them post haste.
That's right. And for everyone who did order but then had their orders canceled because I hadn't registered, I'm so sorry. And trust me, we're on.
Yeah, and sorry for the insane shipping fee. We did change that too.
Yeah,
which is like double the toque.
So honestly, toque's a whole.
You know, we're like that. We're like that Amazon purchase where you like, you know, the shipping is like $60, no Prime.
We're smooth. We're smooth. I think.
No, we're super.
No,
smooth.
We're hardcore Raptors fans. If you wanna help us out, subscribe to the podcast. Where can they find us, Matt? Where are all the millions of places that they can check us out?
Well, we're on, if you go to dunkspodcast.com, we've got all our links there for our Patreon. If you want to be a patron with us, follow us, contribute. And then we've got iTunes and Stitcher there too, and Player FM, Spotify, all these things where you can subscribe. And when we have a new episode, it'll come right at you. You don't even have to look for it.
I think we crushed that, don't you?
Well, yeah.
What site do you guys use for hosting?
Podbean?
No. We self-host this podcast on Internet.
Yeah,
Archive.
we self-host this pod. Yeah, that's where we're at now.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Jeez. We're the Neil Breen of basketball podcasts. So, you know, he's a thing, kind of, right? So,
okay. I'd agree with all of that.
I say we just get rolling here because people tune into this pod for the expert Raptors takes.
They do.
And for my mania unraveling over like a slow period of time, 6 years now. Okay. Let's bring on guest number one, shall we, Matt?
Yes.
Guest number one has done the pod a healthy amount of times. He's done it over the years. He lives in LA. He's a hilarious dude. Last time he was on the podcast, he predicted that the Raptors are going to win the championship in 6 games.
He did.
And then hung up on us.
And that was it. That's the last we've heard of him.
And he was right. So it was like it was kind of a mystical thing. Give it up at home as loud as you can, even if you're by yourself, for Will Weldon.
I forgot I told you guys to play that as my intro sting.
Yeah, Matt didn't.
So yeah, look, cut the music quick. The absolute goddamn audacity of you people to wait this long to have me back after my triumphant prediction of the Raptors winning in 6. A bold listen. All this shit I have gotten from other guests on this show. Oh, I'm negative. Oh, I don't support the team. Oh, my name is Ennis, and I could be anywhere from 24 to 52 years old. It's hard to tell. I have gotten dogged on so much, and then in our moment of glory, who was the most like defiantly positive and optimistic out of everyone. I didn't offer up any negatives. I didn't say like, hey, I think we have a good shot, but possibly this. What did I do? I showed up. I made a prediction for the win, and then I hung up and literally threw my phone across the room in a show of triumphalism, even though no one was around to see it but me. And what?
Yeah, the
10 months
phone part
later,
was
I'm
just
back.
you.
Yeah, 10 months later, I'm back.
I mean, all I can say is this: congratulations, you are a champion. And also, I feel like that was a good last kind of like moment for you for the decade.
No,
And
it made,
we're in a new decade now, a new Will, right?
Oh God, we'll see.
Listen, we didn't try to do you dirty.
Yeah, we
I'll
did.
say there was some scheduling errors, and Matt hates you. So.
Look, I would be more willing to accept that explanation than just like, oh, scheduling errors. You didn't even ask me.
Yeah, that was the first error. That was the first like major error. And honestly, not a lot of good excuses, but I think like I'll do better in this decade. I think everything, the toques,
Yeah.
having you on more regularly.
I bought a championship hat, and this is how you absolute worms repay me.
I think we're gonna have a good time today. It's gonna be a fun podcast. And let's bring on guest number 2, shall we?
Yeah.
I feel like I'm talking, I guess, out of a body experience. Like I want Will to like me, but at the same time, I'm like, okay, you got to keep it moving here, right? Okay. This guy's amazing. He's a hardcore basketball fan. He has recently pulled off some very dicey fantasy trades. In one of the fantasy basketball podcasts or fantasy basketball leagues I'm in, quite a few people were upset. The trade actually got vetoed.
Whoa.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll talk about it. I know this is pretty serious. He's a little on my side with the Clippers, which I feel like I have an ally here. He's amazing. He's hilarious. Give it up at home for Roger Bainbridge.
Very good, yes. like in 8-bit Pharaoh, I'm brought in on my chariot.
Yeah, did you like steal that music from Dragon Warrior 4?
I feel like that's from a Zelda porno.
I have a Creative Commons licensing for all my music, Will. So don't you dare. Except for O Fortuna, that one they can come after me for the estate.
But yes, thank you, Freddie,
Roger. How's it going?
Thank you for touching on the very sore spot of the fantasy trade that got vetoed, like just stabbed in the back by everyone.
Vetoes are rare. I'll say this: I haven't seen a lot of vetoes, like 3 or 4.
I've never seen a veto in a fantasy league.
In my
audacity.
entire, it's pretty intense. You need 2/3 of the whole league to vote against the trade.
It needs to be 2/3.
Yeah, it's like a Senate thing, man.
We're a 14-team league.
But
That's what you need to amend the American Constitution.
Yeah.
Roger is the Palpatine of the league. Like,
see,
big
this is the whole
time.
thing. Everyone looks at it that way. It was there were a lot of bad assumptions. There was a lot of bad blood, and I got railroaded.
Do you want to tell people what the trade was?
Okay. And on its face, yeah, when you hear the names, it doesn't feel like it adds up.
What is coming down the pipeline here?
Yeah, I'll just say this. I didn't really rally anyone, but I did immediately vote against it. Just as like a funny clicking thing. I saw the trade and I was like, oh dear, and I voted against it and moved on.
Yeah. It was a straight up 1-for-1 trade. Hassan Whiteside for Karl Anthony Towns.
Yeah.
Now,
so
in both 8 and 9 category leagues,
who was running the
Whiteside.
account? Who was running the account that traded you Towns? Was it run by a guy named Bodger Rainbridge?
No, it was a one Chris Locke.
No, it was Chris
what?
Wilson.
Oh, Chris Wilson. I'm sorry.
Look, Hassan Whiteside's number 3 in 8 and 9 category. And Karl Anthony Towns is very much not. He's something like 33 or 34 right now. he's been injured for over a month. You got a guy that wants to make the playoffs. You know that you can. The whole point of the game is sell high when a guy is overperforming.
You're right, and I'll say this as well. You know, Chris doesn't like basketball enough to listen to this podcast, but if he did, you'd hear a lot of people laughing.
Basketball. He follows basketball. This is the thing. People are assuming that Chris is some babe in the woods. People are assuming Hassan Whiteside is what he's been in the past instead of realizing that he's playing some really good basketball. And people are assuming that Karl Anthony Towns, there's not a risk that he's going to shut down. So there were reasons why the trade made sense. Is Karl Anthony Towns an infinitely better basketball player? No question.
It's not a keeper league, I'll say that.
Yeah. Does the trade make sense in a purely fantasy perspective? It kind of does.
I'm imagining this Chris guy like on a basketball court right now trying to throw a soccer ball through the hoop.
That's a pretty good, and if anyone who listens to this podcast knows Chris Wilson, he's a very good physical comedian, so just go ahead and imagine that. Imagine Chris picking up a soccer ball and whipping it with all his might at a basketball rim, and it just exploding off the rim. And I feel like that's pretty good. We should get going here on Raptors stuff. Is that cool with you guys? Okay, Maddie, would you give me that Raptors sting? You know what? I'm very used to that sting at this point. It actually feels kind of natural.
Yeah, I like that Matt is like turning himself into like DJ Clue at the start of every drop now.
But he's DJ Clue. If DJ Clue was like always DJing from like inside a tavern, like or like a spelunking version of DJ Clue. Yeah. That's like, you know, the audibility is always just bouncing off walls. It's kind of like,
I see.
Where was this recorded?
Yeah, I was getting.
I like reverb on everything. Yeah,
DJ Clue while he's in his tiny bathroom.
Yeah. Okay, guys. Let's start with you, Will. I'll give you the first question. So I was at the game last night. It was fairly frustrating. I was also at that Portland game where the Raptors kind of just let it go in the fourth. Frustrating for different reasons. It was like the Melo game I saw and the DeMar game. Obviously, I love DeMar. You know, I don't really have feelings one way or the other for Melo, but it was still frustrating seeing that. But I want to kind of focus in on the dunk where DeMar DeRozan stole Boucher's soul. And Boucher laid on the ground, like looking up into the sky. Like it was a prolonged delay. And, you know, he like no one really even came to pick him up that quickly. He was kind of left there to die. Like it was an extreme basketball moment.
Well, you don't touch a man after a prolonged lay, Freddie. You must know that.
Yeah, fair enough. You just
who was it who DeAndre Jordan killed a few seasons ago? Brendan.
I forget. It was someone of the Knicks, I think.
Yeah, or like the Bucks or something. Yeah, it was like so bad that DeAndre Jordan like looked guilty about it afterwards.
Yeah, I think apparently DeMar went up to Boucher like in the change room after the game, and Boucher's like, "I don't think I should shake your hand. Like, this is weird." No, but I love Boucher. He was up there trying to get the block, which all good shot blockers get crowned on. But anyways, the question is, just as a hypothetical, where is DeRozan's career going to go from here, and where is Boucher's career going to go from here? Just like a super quick guesstimation summary of like from now on for DeRozan and then Boucher. So yeah, you first, Will.
I mean, do you want some sort of joke answer about how he's going to be incredible because now he has the basketball power of two men because he dunked Chris Boucher's abilities out of him?
That's a pretty good answer.
Okay, well, that'd be my joke answer. My sincere answer would be like he'll probably end up as like a scoring option off the bench within 2 or 3 seasons where we will herald him. I think he might end up getting reinvented in a few seasons as kind of a Lou Williams style like monster off the bench that scores like almost a point a minute.
I think that's a pretty good guess. I mean, I expect him to continue to be good for a long time. Like he was definitely looking at guys like McCaw and Lowry last night as, guys who were just like not as strong as him, or even a guy like Pascal. He had more patience than Pascal. I think in 2 weeks, Pascal will probably kill DeRozan. But in this moment, he was kind of like his bag of tricks worked, and I
couldn't actually watch the game. It also seems like watching some of the games and stuff, like this team is like absolutely gassed right now.
Yeah. I think it's because the defense this team plays and the kind of like opportunistic offense they play. It's like, just pass it around and, try and get the best shot. But if teams are going to run a zone against you, then it's kind of like, all right, well, your best shot's like McCaw or like Rondé trying to make something happen. And they're so good on defense, and they clearly, like, I think they're the best defensive team in the league. Like, I don't know if every metric has them at first. They're tops in the league regardless, but I think this.
I think they're good on the perimeter. I don't know about that interior defense, especially that game yesterday. Their interior defense was looking pretty rough.
Yeah, I mean, they missed Gasol so, like, when Gasol's there, they're monsters inside, because he's just like such a big body, and also just like one of the smartest. It's wild to have him and Lowry on the floor at the same time playing defense, like two guys who just absolutely 100% know their shit as good as anybody.
Oh, it's like the ultimate like thinking game, especially with like their like, fairly by NBA standards, like unathletic bodies. We're like the most YMCA team with those two guys. We're like man. The total old man games.
I think it's a thing I heard Zach Lowe say. He was like, has talked to a lot of coaches about playing defense, and like the number one method of having good defense is having guys who know how to play defense. It's like, it's so much down to like just like seemingly like court IQ.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Well, Roger, I'll jump to
Chris Boucher. Boucher.
Okay, go for Boucher.
I give him 4 more seasons in the league in the role that he has, in the kind of role that he has when both Ibaka and Gasol are healthy. Then the same kind of role is like almost like the way you optimize what's his face, the guy we had for one season who would get 27 rebounds in 15 minutes and then be absolutely useless the next game. Yeah, I think he functions in kind of a Bismack role. Some games he's going to grab like 15 rebounds in a short amount of minutes or get a bunch of blocks. Other games he's just like, dudes are just going to be like clowning on him and his like skinny little body.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like a big part of his career is he's either going to have a huge physical advantage over someone as far as length, or he's going to be getting bodied. He seems like there's no in between for him.
Yeah, he's like a mini bull.
Yeah, he has a bit of the like. I could see him kind of going the way of like Al-Farouq Aminu, where he slowly gets his 3-point percentage up to like a decent level, and is just this kind of guy you can plug in to play 15 minutes on a good team and play pretty good defense and bother people when they're shooting a 3.
Yeah.
All right, Roger.
Yes.
Yeah. Pick who you want to start with. Boucher or
Well,
DeRozan?
you're already talking about Boucher. I'll just toss in. We just got to get that guy some food. You got to get some.
I know.
Some protein. Bulk him up a little bit, and I think he'll be fun. Like, he's hitting that 3 already. It's a pretty good shot. If you look at his form, it's pretty good.
It's definitely a slingshot of a 3.
Yeah.
He does actually. It's weird. He leans back a lot for a guy who's that tall. Like when he puts it up, I think he has a pretty good finishing ability. But sorry, keep going.
Yeah, it's that. I mean, yeah, it's true. He's just going to get constantly. People are already exploiting him. You can say that that's also because it's like, I mean, yeah, he played last year, but he didn't really play last year. This is as close to a rookie year this is closer to a rookie year than last year was.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, he's still learning the NBA game, but people are clearly exploiting him, and they will, because he's a gangly good boy. But
so he's 27. Do you think kind of like me and Will were saying?
I didn't even know he was 27. That's insane.
He is, yeah. And we have him on a really cheap contract for like 2 years. But like, do you think he's the type of guy like he'll get another contract at like 29 or 30 and have like some decent years somewhere?
Yeah, I mean, it's
Or do you think he's a guy
seems
who
hard to
maybe
picture, but we
fades?
forget that there are some desperate teams out there. You know, like we talked about Bismack. You know, I could see Charlotte in 2 years going kind of like, hey, this guy's cheap, sure, why not?
Yeah, I feel like he should be able to net some kind of like minimum 3-year contract. Like he seems like he belongs in the NBA.
Orlando signs every person who's even close to 7 feet for a certain amount of time. So everyone needs to do their time in Orlando.
Yeah, Orlando's definitely a team that, like, if you can shoot, they will not pick up the phone.
Yeah.
Like, if you're like, I'm a really good shooter, they're like, we have Terrence Ross, we're good to go. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have one shooter. That's the NBA these days. All you need is one.
I saw Aaron Gordon get some threes in warm up. I think we're good.
So what about DeRozan? Are you like, you know, I'm kind of asking this question because he's a divisive guy for a lot of Raptors fans. Like, I'm almost surprised at how many people truly hate him and like passionately hate him. But I mean, I'm definitely like, as somebody who loves DeRozan, I've never really thought that he's like a bona fide like all NBA guy. I think he got all NBA once, but I think he'll probably
got 2.
Oh, he got 2. Okay, sorry.
I think he got second team 2 seasons ago.
Okay, yeah.
When there was that flash of MVP talk.
Yeah, it was. I think that was his like best year shooting threes as well.
Yeah, he was just scoring like crazy.
That was year 1 culture reset, I think.
I also, sorry for interrupting Roger's time, although I don't respect anyone else other than myself when people talk.
God.
But I think the thing with DeRozan is that so many fans spent so long like defending him like insisting he had qualities he did not and he was capable of taking us places he wasn't. I think a lot of people have now swung the other way, where now they're like, he was awful and holding us back. Whereas I think the people who always properly understood how good he was, but also had an extremely healthy appreciation for like just how much he meant and to the franchise. Mm-hmm. I think those people have all remained at exactly the same level of like, because I feel the same way about him. I always have. And like last night was frustrating, but I was like, man, we already like punked the Spurs once this season. Like,
totally,
you know, now he gets one and he gets to have some nice moments. And like, I can't be too mad about it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm like that with DeRozan too, where I think it's like, you know, there's people who seem to think he's like J.R. Smith, and then there's other people who are kind of
who thinks he's like J.R. Smith.
No, but I mean, like they think he's like
hurts
that
the
bad.
Team. You mean
like he's so bad he's like a J.R. Smith, and then I think there's also a lot of people who convince themselves that, you know, he could be like a Kawhi, whereas like for me he was never close to either. Yes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, a lot of people thought he was better than Lowry just because they appreciated how loyal he was to the city.
Yeah, I mean, I thought they were close at one point, but I'm a Lowry over DeRozan guy. But wait, so Roger, like, where do you like? Do you see him doing a Lou Williams type thing?
I think that Lou Williams thing is an interesting. I mean, you'd have to find the exact right team that would fit for. I still see him being a starter for quite some time. I don't think. I think he would have a harder time accepting the bench role. To be honest, I think he looks at himself. He works on his game. He's a competitor. I don't think he looks at himself that way yet.
Right. So he's like, I'm calling the Knicks, and the Knicks, they're going to give me a 4-year max. Like, do you feel like DeRozan's more that guy, or do you feel
I see him ending up somewhere more like not Phoenix, but a Phoenix-esque team. Just again, something that's, or like Atlanta. I could see him playing for Atlanta. You know, like just somewhere where they're just going to let him go and score, and he'll keep doing that, and it'll just kind of be the same.
Atlanta's kind of interesting because, like, it would be interesting to see the, like, you know, the sunset of DeRozan's career next to someone who is kind of like obviously the top guy that the team is investing in. Because I've never viewed DeRozan as the type of guy who is a bad locker room person. I feel like he would very much, you know, like acquiesce to a hierarchy where he's not the guy if, you know, if that was the reality of the situation. Like,
For sure. Well, I mean, LaMarcus Aldridge is more the guy than he is on the Spurs.
Right.
Yeah,
And I think,
the problem with LaMarcus Aldridge is that he's not very good at it. Like, he famously left the Trailblazers because he kind of couldn't stop pouting about the fact that Lillard was more embraced by the fans than he was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of like a different conversation, but I feel like Aldridge was he was kind of like a weird turning point where the Spurs miscalculated in a big way. And I think the ripple effects of bringing him over were pretty damn bad.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. He's a good player. Like, well, watching him last night, it was kind of I thought like Ibaka, and Boucher at times were pretty good on him, but he's kind of, he doesn't play efficiently, but he's clearly like super duper talented.
Yeah. I also think a lot of guys on that team are kind of like the older guys on that team are like thinking of themselves as running out the clock right now.
Rudy Gay definitely plays like that. Like, I think that's why he had his big dunk was not at all like DeRozan's. Like, his big dunk was like, oh, literally nobody's guarding me. I might as well like cock it back and do a crazy dunk. And that's why like Rondé Hollis-Jefferson was like semi-crowned, but he just got there so late because Rudy Gay was literally looking to pass and no one was guarding him, so he turned around and dunked.
Yeah, Rudy Gay for sure is just like counting the days until he can go somewhere and hopefully win a ring.
When Bellinelli hit that three, I was like,
please say that name again.
Yeah,
please say that name again. Bellinelli?
Bellinelli?
When he hit that three,
that's like a children's book character you just came up with, like someone named Nelly with a big belly.
Yeah. Except he's real.
No, it's Bellinelli.
What did I say?
Bellinelli.
Oh, that's pretty funny. My bad. It definitely like I thought I was in on the joke until just like 3 seconds ago. My bad. Let's call him Marco B. When he hit that three, I was definitely shocked and frustrated that he was still in the NBA. I had forgotten, like, and I feel like I'm pretty good with like knowing like the journeyman of the NBA, but he is a guy I definitely thought had taken a European contract at this point.
Well, I didn't know he was a big contributor to the 76ers not too long ago.
Yeah, he's just a dude who exists to hit like 10. He hits like 10 important threes and 4 important long twos that he clearly didn't realize he was like stepping on the line during a season. That's like his role now. Yeah, and also to get mixed up in my brain with Gallinari.
Oh, but Gallo's still playing. Gallo's still relevant.
Gallo's doing shit. OKC's doing shit.
Yeah.
Okay, wait. Let's.
The weirdest. I cannot believe Oklahoma City Thunder. Obviously it's not planned to talk about, but like the last thing I imagine would happen. Holy shit! Chris Paul is like still an incredible basketball player.
Yeah, him and Lowry have these like weird dual storylines of like being guys that are too old to be doing what they're doing based on their like height. And like it's pretty rare to like, have guys that are 33 and 34. Like, I think Chris Paul's averaging 16 points and like Lowry's averaging 30 points. And these guys are 6 feet tall. Like that's nuts.
It's the Phil Esposito thing of like, if you have an enormous ass, you have a real advantage in sports.
Yeah, man. It's like, like a camel keeping all of the water in the hump, like they keep all their drive and talent in their ass.
You're right. It is just like that. Okay, Roger. Let's talk about the Raptors getting healthy. Gasol looks like he's coming back. Apparently, he was training with the team. I just heard. I don't think it was Blake Murphy. Somebody said. Maybe it was William Liu, that Fred isn't going to be out too long either. So his thing is kind of like didn't tear anything, and it seems like we have a legit shot of getting healthy again. And it seemed like it might be a year where there was just so many injuries that
Yeah.
people would play too many minutes and then they would get injured before everyone comes back. So I think it is kind of huge for this team to get fully healthy. And if you look down the schedule, it's I mean, we're in the Eastern Conference and we're about to see how bad it is and how insane it would be for us to tank. Like O'Shea Brissett would start on a bunch of the teams we're about to play. So like,
hey,
it's like
put,
10.
But put some respect on him though.
It's true.
He's
O'Shea
great.
Brissett, he's amazing.
Yeah, I mean that guy, young guy, like he had to start, and you watched him, and you were like, this guy does not look out of his depth. I'm not going to say he's good, but he's not like lost.
No, and he's 20 years old, and he makes $79,000, which is insane.
And he might be the only one on the team that can consistently get offensive rebounds.
Yeah.
Well, Hollis Jefferson is pretty good at it, isn't he?
He's all right, but Brissett just gets he just has like a vertical that those guys don't have. It's wild.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like Jefferson is definitely like one of those guys who like should be in slam ball. Like he's such a like strong warrior of a dude who like every time he gets a rebound, the ball just like explodes out of his hand. Like
I just see Freddie as like a medical trainer, just always like, rubbing Rondé down after every game and just being like, I'm telling you, man, get a slam ball.
Yeah.
You need this behind. You gotta get the slam balls where it's at.
Yeah, I would definitely use Rondé to like restart slam ball.
I do want to say that the call on my end cut out for like 5 seconds, so I missed something of what Freddie said. So I would like to say to any listeners, if what he said was like extremely racist or like pro-eugenics, I do denounce those comments.
No, I mean, just to clarify on what I was saying when you were gone, I was just talking about how the ethics around CRISPR don't bother me at all. And I think globally, everyone should they should just do whatever they want with CRISPR and not communicate to one another. And
while the call dropped out, you were like, I mean, if you look at the shape of Hollis Jefferson's skull, you can really see that the athlete part of it is bigger than in most people.
Oh, God,
yeah. Always bringing the phrenology confederacy of dunks.
Yeah. Well, that's we like to zig and zag here a little bit.
Yes, the two things we love on this podcast: dunks and calipers.
And of course, zigging and zagging.
Much like the zigs and zags of the skull shape of, and then just the audio cuts out for 10 minutes.
Okay. Oh, wait. So I don't even know. Okay.
So
my question was.
People getting healthy.
Yes. Who should start when because we've really seen a couple players come on. And I'm curious what you guys think as far as like what our best starting lineup is, or if you want to take that to like closing lineup, whatever. But like, what's our best combination of 5 players?
Well, you still got to go with your best 5 players. You go Fred, Kyle, Pascal, Ibaka, Gasol.
Okay,
you just play your best guys.
So you're not of the camp that it's like Ibaka and Gasol should split the center minutes like from the get-go. You think?
I think that's how you start it, and then you can start to tinker after about who you want to kind of hang on and what switches out you want to do. But I think that's your starting 5.
I mean, Ibaka and Gasol definitely did play together quite a bit in the playoffs. Like we used that a lot to kind of like fight off Philly's size. So,
and Ibaka's playing well. He's moving well. Like, I mean, he's, he doesn't hit everything, but he's having a good season.
So I kind of think I'm in the camp now where Norm to me has come on as a shooter and really so confident that I kind of like the idea of, keeping Ibaka coming off the bench, but also bringing Fred off the bench, even if he ends up playing more minutes than Norm. Because I don't know, there's something about OG in that starting lineup, which is just good defensively, but OG is also maybe a guy who, like, maybe you leave Fred on and we just are kind of small and it's Kyle, Fred, Norm, Pascal and Gasol. Where are you at, Will? What's the best like starting lineup or like 5-man unit for the squad?
I do think like when I was talking about guys who are gassed earlier, I think like OG is a prime example. He's a guy like his numbers have dropped off so much since the start of the season. I also think without Siakam, defenses can like focus on him more. But he's like a guy. He and Norm really seem to have some sort of weird psychological thing where Powell plays so much better as a starter. I might be
really
wrong.
does.
I'm pretty sure I have like seen the numbers on this. It's like, and there are some guys who like, psychological factors matter. So like, and again, I kind of feel the same way about Ibaka on the bench and Fred on the bench and just like but Fred ending games on the court.
Right.
And him playing like 29. Because I also think Fred is like a very good shooter, but he also seems pretty streaky. And like, I like the idea of having him on at the end of games because he also seems like he excels under that kind of pressure. And I also don't know if I'd want to take OG out of the starting lineup because it seemed to like really fuck with his head last year. Leonard coming in and taking most of his minutes because he was just like regressed so bad from his rookie season. And
he seemed off for a few reasons.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that it was ever published what his like the personal problems were, but like it feels like this season, even if his minutes are getting cut down to like 24 or 25, he's also a pretty stabilizing defensive presence. But like, I think there's some guys. There is like weird psychology at play with some of these guys. Whereas I think Ibaka is incredible. I hated Ibaka for so long. Like I just like despised him as a player. And like the way he like reinvented both himself and the way he seems to like feel about the team,
right.
Like playing on the team and like his teammates is like, now he's like genuinely one of my favorite players in the league.
Oh, he's so modernized.
Dude, and he'll play like 19 minutes and he'll just walk in and get like a block. He now is able to both catch and pass the ball, which came pretty late. So he'll get like a block, an assist, no turnovers, hit a couple threes, hit a couple free throws, a long two, and grab 7 rebounds. And it's just like, damn, like this is like perfect. This is like an ideal guy to have on your team. And then you can start him and he'll average like 16, 9, and 1.5 blocks.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I just to kind of touch on a couple points you said there, Will. One with OG, I think his father passed, and then also his appendix burst.
Yeah, the appendix I did know about.
There's a lot of different stuff to amount to, and it's like his second year, and Kawhi, and like I think it was definitely one of those years where, like most of the development you can kind of write off. And then to your other point of like the psychological thing, like my thing with Norm starting is kind of that I think Fred's a more competent player and he can kind of like, he can be a floor general a little bit. Whereas Norm, if you're like, okay, make some plays for other people, like, I don't think he can. And that
was one thing I wanted to hit when Will, you were calling, or you were saying that Fred was a little streaky. I was like, well, if we're going to call Fred streaky and then we're going to talk about playing Norm, like,
but with Norm, you could just, if he's like shooting like 1 for 8 from 3, you can just take him off. Yeah. Like I do agree. Like the thing with like, I think it's good having him start because there's so many other guys that the other team has to key their defense into. Right. That Norm is going to be facing a lot less stiff competition. Whereas like, even if Van Fleet is like shooting like shit, he can like run the game from the point. Yeah. So like, there's always value in having him on the court. Whereas Norm, shoots like he just like hits. I imagine it's like if he's not being guarded very fiercely, he can just like shoot the fucking lights out.
Yeah, he makes me nervous. He makes me very nervous when he's out there, and I want to see what he's like. Obviously, he started the season great. I want to see how he comes back from this injury.
Yeah.
So Fred on the year. And we're going to move on to Fred and I talk more about him in a sec, but he's shooting 37% from three. Norm is shooting 39% from three for the year. Norm's 14.5 points and Fred is 18 points a game and 7 assists. But before we kind of talk about Fred a little bit more, I just want to like hop on the Serge point, because when you were talking about how Serge kind of came in here, you know, as a bit more like he was less multifaceted than he is now. It's like, it's weird because I think he's had a lot of that his whole career, where people have kind of like, they've been like, you're amazing at this, but there's no way you can do this. And he kind of just slowly added stuff. And I feel like that's even true of like, he did How Hungry Are You? And now he's like, oh yeah, you think that was good? Now I have 4 shows and 2 documentaries. And like, I'm just going to be all over the place. Like, I think Serge is just to tie it back to the start of the pod.
You just see like his high school coach being like, "You'll never be a media mogul."
I know, right? No, he's the Neil Breen of the Raptors.
It's like it's like sure, the way. Right? It's the same way people talk about Jordan getting cut from his varsity team in like 9th grade. It's the same. It's like, oh, you know, they wouldn't let Serge into the AV club in 9th grade, and he's been rubbing it in their face ever since.
Yeah.
He gets in the Hall of Fame, and his whole speech is about what an asshole the AV teacher was.
I definitely think if like there's anyone I don't know if anyone saw the you don't know the Bo Jackson 30 for 30, where he basically is such a total like athletic freak and now is like shooting crossbows with his feet. I feel like Serge will join him at some point, and Serge will be like, I can do that too, Bo. You know what I mean? And Bo will be like, I'm like 40 years older than you, please leave me alone or whatever. But
40.
No, not 40 years. Okay, let's talk about Fred. We already kind of were. And maybe this is an easy answer, but I think maybe not. Do you think he's an all-star, Will, this year?
No, I don't think he'll. I think Van Vliet is going to like unfortunately end up in the position of either being like a bit of a contract albatross for the Raptors or like a fairly significant contract albatross for some other team. Because like, I think he's like clearly like extremely smart and just plays like insanely hard. But I honestly don't think he should be starting. Although our defense might get worse without him on the floor because he is like so dogged, but he's also small. But like, I do think he maxes out as like a tweener in the sense of like, he's almost too good to be coming off the bench, but he's like not like he's not optimal kind of like to be starting.
Like he's a Jameer Nelson type.
I don't know. I think Jameer Nelson was like worse than him.
I mean, he was a one-time All-Star though.
Was he?
Yeah, and
he had some pretty peak years in Orlando.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, it was kind of because of the Dwight like attention he brought. But I feel like. Fred is like, right there. That's why I kind of posed this question. But sorry, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. I was just going to say, but the other thing, too, is it's like, I also like I like him a lot. So I'm like quite fond of him. So I might be, so because of that, I might be being too hard on him because I'm like mentally ill and had a weird upbringing. So that's how I treat people I care about. But it's also, I think I'm also, because like, you know, I was like such a big Spurs fan for like the entirety of Tim Duncan's career. He's like my favorite player ever. Right. And like, I also, Tim Duncan and Ginobili, honestly, I might have even more fond memories of at this point, but like, I love Ginobili so much. And so I do have a weird bias for like guys who don't start but are clearly one of the best players on the team. And I don't think Van Vliet is anywhere near as good as like Ginobili is, but it's like Van Vliet coming off the bench, there are times where, you know, he comes on against other teams' second units, and I think that's the times when you're like, oh, this guy might be an all-star, because he like there are times where he just like, you know, he's this guy who's like as tall as I am, and he's just like absolutely wrecking the other team.
Man, I thought he was the best part of the
his
bench
decision
mob.
making.
He's
always been the best bench mob guy.
like, even though Pascal was like just beasting and like, everything was clicking, I really think, because it definitely wasn't DeLon. And I think there was something about Fred that really made that unit click. DeLon
is bumming me out post Raptors. I was like hoping he'd be better on like Dallas, but like he seems like he just sort of tops out as like very good defensive second or third backup point. Like he's a very good like long defensive 1 or 2 guard.
Well, let me tell you, when I went to the Laker Maverick game, he was terrified of LeBron. So,
Well, he was around to get traumatized.
He was. So yeah, Roger, what like do you is that kind of an easy answer for you too?
I don't think he's going to be an all-star this year. I think if he had kept up the rate of play that he had about like the first 10, 15 games and not got injured, maybe.
Yeah, because he had the whole like I'm leading the league in minutes thing going, which is always like it's something.
Yeah, and he was playing great. They were rolling. He was looking really good. There was talk about it, but then there's just too many other guards.
Okay,
Fred's never going to get it. Like if Lowry's not getting voted in, then Fred's not going to get voted in.
Here's where I want to go though. Okay, so let me just see if I can like I'll do it to you, Roger. So let me see if I can bring you through my thought process.
You gonna do it to me, Fred?
Of guys who are going to get like voted in. And then maybe where Fred can get in. So, Irving is back, right? He's voted in. So,
because he has like obnoxious Kobe level stands.
Right, exactly. So let's say Irving's in. Let's say
Kemba.
Kemba probably is
Young
in.
Actually, was leading the guard voting, right?
Yeah, I guess that kind of changes it. But let's say the voter guys are Irving and Kemba. And as we know, Butler is considered a forward, so we'd have to count him. There's 3 more spots. So Lowry ahead of Fred, obviously. And then there's the 2 big stack guys. There's Trae Young and Brad Beal, who statistically just are crushing Fred.
I don't even think Beal makes it. I would say that someone like Devontae Graham gets it over Beal.
Well, and there's obviously Ben Simmons as well.
Ben Simmons, are they counting him as a point guard?
Yeah, he's a PG in Yahoo, so
yeah.
I guess maybe I kind of just answered my own question, but I was just thinking that his stats are better than Ben Simmons. So if Philly kind of drops off in the next month with Embiid being injured, and it's kind of like Lowry gets in.
I don't think Simmons makes the All-Star game either.
He's gonna have a tough time unless his stats really blow up or Philly goes on a run. But yeah, I think Young and Beal are both kind of interesting to watch this year because, is Young really going to – his stats are insane. I'm looking at it right now. He's 28.9, 4.5 rebounds a game, 8.4 assists. But his team is, tragically bad.
His team is garbage, but, he, unlike someone like Bradley Beal or something like that, there's diehard Washington fans who don't like Bradley Beal for some reason.
Because you're a diehard Washington fan.
So. I love. Gotta root for the Wizards. Yeah. It's sad times. Yeah. Although they're a little fun. They're kind of fun to watch. Their offense is kind of fun to watch.
They can score.
They cannot play defense for the life of them. But Trae Young just feels like one of those guys in the NBA that it doesn't matter who you root for. Everyone likes Trae Young. People are just they like to watch him play. He seems like an all right guy. People just like Trae Young.
Fair enough. You hear that, Fred? If you're listening to this pod, people just like Trae Young. You don't get to be an all-star this year. That is probably true, and he's definitely a star in the making. So it wouldn't be. The
NBA wants him in the All-Star game.
He'd be up there though, as far as the worst team ever that gets an All-Star.
Yeah, but here's the thing too with Trae Young is I've been voting for. I'm not somebody who just votes all my team's guys for All-Star game because I was saying I was no, you have to earn it because love is conditional. But I have turned around on Trae Young because Trae Young is a lunatic on the court. He turns the ball over so much and takes insane shots, but also is clearly he is really good. And if he had been drafted in a year with just about any player other than Luka. He clearly would be the best player from his draft class, at least so far. And like the All-Star game is supposed to be fun, and like Beal is incredible and is the only guy on the Wizards who like can play defense right now, and I do think is like a bit of an underrated guard because he always had to deal with sort of Wall's nonsense. But like
Beal's amazing.
Trae Young I've come around on in the All-Star game because I think it would be more fun to have like a 22-year-old psycho on the court just like jacking up insanely long threes, and then like, I mean, imagine that dude playing on a team with guys he never plays with. Will he ever pass it to one of his teammates? Like, he will just be passing the ball to whomever on the court because I'm positive he will not remember who's on his team.
That is a very funny idea to explore, like a guy who's just passing to the first person he sees on the court, no matter what.
He's like, I'm going to alley-oop it to a guy on the Western team.
He's just pure chaos.
Do you guys remember in like the late 90s, early 2000s when there were no good point guards and every All-Star game was awful because all of the guards were shooting guards?
Is that like Rip Hamilton era?
Yeah, or like it was like Allen Iverson would be the 1 point guard.
Yeah, because
like,
who else was there? Like Mark Jackson, Billups, like Muggsy.
It was like Chauncey, I think, made maybe one All-Star team, but like
Alvin Williams
Mark Jackson was too old. It was like just like a grim time it was a grim time for the league. But I remember watching those All-Star games and being like, damn, this sucks. It is just like 5 guys, and when they get the ball, they just like are just going to look for their own shot because there's like no playmaking out there.
Oh yeah,
it would be like Shaq. Like Shaq would be playing like point center because Shaq actually had pretty good hands.
The skill set now is so much greater than it was. Like I just, it's so hilarious when people are like, basketball used to be better, and it's like when people couldn't dribble with both hands. Like that basketball. Like when no one had a left hand. It's like
I miss the days when Anthony
dribble. Yeah.
It was like I miss the days when Anthony Mason would play defense by hitting Michael Jordan with his car before the game.
Oh my God. Yeah. That is what it was like, basically.
Like back then, it's like there are obviously like bad like racial implications to like the term thug, but I do think all of the 90s NBA absolutely played like the Broad Street Bullies. It was like an entire league of the 70s Philadelphia Flyers. Just like absolute goons on the court. And they had like enforcers, and like think back to the era of the big white stiff where every team had like a Travis Knight who existed to foul Shaq 6 times. Like you had to have a roster spot for just like a big dude who would not get hurt in the process of fouling Shaquille O'Neal. Like that was such a grim time for the league, and it does bum me out that was the era of a lot of Shaq's career, because like Shaq is, it sounds insane, but like Shaq is underappreciated for just how like insanely talented he was. Just like an incredible all-around basketball player, other than like shooting, obviously.
Shaq had to go up against guys like Bill Wennington. So
yeah. Well, but it also was like, I mean, Shaq, it's like when he was like in his 20s and like could keep weight off really easily, it was like those games, like that Lakers run. I remember watching those games and being like, this sucks. I hate the Lakers. Yeah, it was and there was no way anyone can beat the Lakers. Like they're just too, like Shaq is, you pass him the ball and he will score. He will score every single time.
Which is what's so fun about the league now. It's like there is no Warriors right now. There is no Lakers. There is no team that it's like that. Like, it's kind of just like a foregone conclusion. Like when people talk about, like when people are upset about like how easily Harden can score, I usually like point to Shaq, and it's like, how crazy good do you have to be where your opponents or fans are like, it's annoying, they're cheating. It's like I'm in the Zach Lowe camp where it's like, stop them. Like it's your job. Stop them.
If it were easy to play like James Harden, who is one of the strongest players in NBA history and able to just like stop and pivot and change directions on a dime, everyone would play like James Harden if it were easy. But the fact that he's the only guy who plays like that kind of makes it seem like he's the only player with like the unique, both like basketball IQ and also physical gifts to be able to play that way. Because that dude absorbs punishment all game, and he just shakes it off because he is just an absolute sack of bricks out on the court.
Yeah.
He's the Karl Malone of our era.
Yeah, except not like the horrible piece of shit.
Yeah, he doesn't carry around a gun.
Yeah, he doesn't refuse to acknowledge paternity of his daughter.
Oh, Carl, right?
Mailman.
Okay, let's move on to some NBA stuff.
They called him the mailman because he'd show up once during your life and then disappear forever.
Wait, I feel like I've seen, mailmen, like, they're kind of like a neighborhood figure.
I've had the same mailman like every single day since I moved into my new apartment. So like, listen, I tried. Okay, I'm sorry for putting myself out there and making an attempt at something.
Will, we're not going to reject you.
Yeah, right. That's what people who reject you say.
Yeah, and trust me, like Matt is probably muted himself right now because Matt's like probably like swearing at Will. So yeah, Matt, a longtime postal employee.
Yeah.
Matt is like he's old. He always says that, like, he likes to ride the Via Rail because like that's the old way. You know what? I messed up a joke.
I just
way
like it,
worse than Will did. So
it's expensive. I love it.
Because I started to get confused with who. Okay, whatever, doesn't matter. I
started to get confused. I brought up trains, and all I could think about was how much I love trains.
Honestly, it's not that far off. Well, I brought up trains, and I'm like, wow, they do a lot of things. And then basically, like, a tumbleweed blew by in my brain.
Yeah. You were like, I hate that. I hate the politics of Atlas Shrugged, but I just can't get enough of that train talk.
Hey, I like vast networks. What can I say?
What position would John Galt play? I think he's a 3.
I think John Galt is the guy who throws a beer at Ron Artest and starts the
yes,
the malice in the palace. That's who I think John Galt is.
Oh man,
John Galt is a guy in Utah who screams the N-word at Russell Westbrook and then goes on like Fox News and is like, "I was just being polite in my criticisms and I've been banned."
Yeah, John Galt definitely wears like a Rorschach mask.
Oh, yes.
For sure. Right? You know what I mean? He's creating Rorschach masks and selling them out of his truck. Okay. Let's talk some NBA and then we'll do some quickish questions. Sound good, guys?
I love it.
Yeah, your famous quickish questions.
Oh yeah. So I know you're excited, Will. Okay, Maddie, give me that NBA sting.
This is Adam Silver.
Jesus. Classic Adam.
All right, let's get everybody's energy up.
When I say Bobby, you say Webster, Bobby.
Webster.
I mean,
I want to give Matt real credit for his restraint in not playing the David Stern fart noise.
Yeah, thanks, Matt.
Thanks for the inspiration. Yeah, I do have to
Very
make
respectful.
Yeah, thanks for no morbid jokes, Matt. Appreciate that.
Yeah. David Stern, rest in peace.
Okay,
These are all great ideas. These are all great.
Roger made a joke about Matt's restraint, and Will's like, check it out. I don't have any. We're having fun.
Your first pick in the NBA draft is death.
I'm going to use that siren sound. I like it.
Oh, my God. Okay. Will, well, you know what? We'll do it like this. Roger, you're going to do
it's Adam Silver going, David Stern was a mentor to me, and then it's just a drop of like, hasta la vista, baby.
Oh my god, I feel like I'm freaking like Jon Stewart here, and like you're Norm Macdonald making fun of the croc hunter. It's like the day after he died.
Oh yeah.
And Jon Stewart's like, please stop. I'm not at all like Jon Stewart though. So
yeah, you have actual politics.
Oh,
yeah, you have
got
like
knocked out, Johnny.
You have a comprehensible set of political beliefs beyond like, can't everyone just be polite like in the old days?
Hey, what about those firefighters in New York? Okay,
Absolutely, first responders.
Okay, well that was good. That was good. How dare you? How absolutely dare you?
I was joking, but it actually was really good.
Wow, wow. Sounds like somebody forgot to never forget.
I can't and I won't. Will, give me your team. Who's gonna win second in the East? And Roger, you're on deck. It's you're gonna tell me who's second in the East.
Okay.
Who's gonna win second in the East?
Yeah. No, for you though, Will. Who's gonna finish second in the West right now? I can give you a standings breakdown if you want one.
Oh boy, you know, I feel like in the East it feels like a lock with the Bucks, but like out West, man. Yeah, give me the top 4 teams in the West, like in the order.
It's Lakers number 1. I'm just still pulling it up, but I know that.
Number 2.
Denver number 2.
I think Clippers are 3rd and Utah's 4th.
It's Jazz 3rd, Rockets 4th, Clippers 5th, and Dallas 6th. And I should say that the Clippers, Rockets, Jazz, and Denver are all in a virtual tie.
Yeah. You know, for I think for, you know what, for second, I think it's going to stay there. I think Denver's going to stay in second. I think they're going to get knocked out in the second round. I think the Lakers are going to have the best record like the whole season out West. And then I think they're going to get fucking creamed in the conference finals by either the conference finals or the semifinals by the Clippers. I think the Clippers are going to make the finals because like what do Paul George and Kawhi Leonard love to do? It's like step up their game in the playoffs. I
don't know if playoff P's he hasn't done too much since those Pacer days.
Yeah, but like that, it's not fun playing with Russell Westbrook, I don't think. And it's like, and like, I remember that awful Pacers team playing the Raptors that we barely beat. And how Paul George just like ate our lunch.
He was the best player in the series, big time.
Yeah, yeah. And like, I think he's gonna like come. I think it's gonna be a little bit like, you know, it's just gonna be one of those things where like the playoffs show up and Doc is gonna tighten it down to like 7 guys, and then it's just gonna be like, oh shit, what do you do against these 2 guys on the court, just like smothering everyone?
I mean, their perimeter defense in the playoffs is going to be absolutely disgusting. Like, this is kind of why I'm bringing up like, you know, that fight for second, you know, you might get a hard, you know, OKC team in the West, which is just like clicking right now. But I think no one knows what's going to happen with OKC. No one knows if they're going to like continue to win as they tear down or what. But I think, the first place in the West is your only guaranteed spot of playing a team that looks like they're going to be under 500.
Yeah, absolute dog shit. Yeah, I really think I really think the Nuggets will keep second because the Nuggets are the most very good team in the league.
Yeah, so I have the Nuggets.
And like Jokic is like I even checked like recently, but like Jokic has really been coming on strong over the last like month.
I think I was listening to the No Dunks podcast, the old starters guys.
Yep.
And they were saying that if you look at Jokic's stats just for November, in his whole career, he's just a pile of shit every November. and then the rest of the year he's great. And it's just like, what is wrong with you in November?
Honestly,
I genuinely think he spends the off season sitting in McDonald's drinking a small coffee.
I thought you were going to say just drinking milkshakes.
No, I think he's just a guy who's like inclined to be like pretty doughy, but I think he's one of those guys in the same way like Emeka Okafor got worse when he put on muscle. I think Jokic is one of those guys who would be worse if he lost weight. But
Right.
I do think he's a guy who it doesn't seem like he has like much of an inner life. Like it seems like he's very good at basketball and is probably like a nice, pleasant like guy, but like what does that guy get up to? He seems like the kind of guy who's like, I'm going to get a coffee and goes to McDonald's and sits there and drinks a small coffee for 4 hours.
Oh, he has many a vineyard, and he like has a very large donkey and like has a nice kind of like.
He has a very large donkey?
Yeah, that he rides and he like patrols his vineyards.
Oh yeah, he's a he's a classic like
he's a rancher through and through.
Yeah, classic like rancher, but like not my source of income ranch, like fun time ranch,
hobby ranch.
Well, also it takes a lot of time to shoot all the before segments for NyQuil commercials.
Oh my God, yeah, he is pounding NyQuil before every game. That's his secret. So Roger, do you agree? I actually have the Lakers.
Yeah, Denver.
I think they're going to dip
for sure.
I think Denver's going to finish first. I actually had the Rockets finishing first, which I want to hold on to, but
really.
And I think that the Lakers are just one small ankle injury away from a little bit of a losing streak that kind of brings them back to the pack.
But
I do also think the Lakers are worried about. I do think this is like a season where the Lakers are probably going to recognize that like our best path through, because LeBron is pretty smart about the path his teams tend to like go for in the playoffs. And I think this is a year where they'll recognize like first seed is going to have a way easier time than second
seed. That's a good point.
Because like no matter what in that second round, you're going to be playing like you're going to have the same experience in the second round, no matter where you are. But that first round, man, you're going to get to like walk all over whoever you want and then just have like a long time off as everybody else probably goes like 7 games.
Yeah. The first round could like legitimately be Memphis.
Yeah.
Who's in 8th now. So Roger, what about so you're kind of with the Nuggets?
Yeah, I was with the Denver prediction. So I think the East, it's far more cut and dried. It's pretty locked. I'd say that Boston's going to take that. They're just very
where
good.
Where are we at now? So Boston's fully healthy. The Boston and the Heat are both have like a pretty close to a 70% win percentage, and the Raptors are at 64%. And then you got the Sixers 62% win percentage, and Pacers 61 win percentage. So I mean, I predicted the Raptors, and then I was like, I don't know, and now I think I'm back to the Raptors. I just think they have such an easy schedule.
It's not impossible. I just see Boston playing really well. They seem to really like playing together. They all seem like they're getting along. And, you know, when you have Jaylen Brown definitely playing above his head, and he's sort of regressing a bit, but they're going to be fine because Jason Tatum's actually playing the way that we were hoping he was going to in his second year.
And also, if you're Danny Ainge, like I can't think of a team that, you know, kind of like held onto their assets in a worse way than Boston. Like they let Butler go, they let Kawhi go, they let Davis go. It's just kind of like they let their assets prevent them from making like deals.
Yeah,
and
he overvalued the assets.
Yeah, and it seems like this year, you know, I think
Kyrie was his big play, right?
Right. Yeah. But I mean, like this year, if you're the Celtics and you're in second and you're looking at the Bucks, like you're not insane. You don't think you can beat the Bucks. Like they destroyed you last year and you're worse. Yeah. Like maybe Hayward's a bit better, but you don't have Horford. And it's like, if you think Tice is going to stop Giannis, you're like out of your mind. So, you know, if you're Boston, it's like, is it time to trade a Smart or a guy where, you know, you can get a big that's going to help you make a difference? Or do you think
they fill that void that Horford left?
I mean, I don't know. Like, I think if you're the Heat, you're kind of like the Raptors where you're simultaneously winning and developing so many players that it's kind of about keeping your old guys, Butler and Dragic, healthy, or for us, you know, Lowry, Gasol, and Ibaka. And then keeping your young guys like developing and peaking at the right time.
The Heat also like Boston to me is like a team that I could see dropping off, like doing like you said, like coming in second and then just dropping off hard in the playoffs, because they seem like the way the Raptors used to seem, where they were great in the regular season, but then the playoffs would roll around and it's like, oh, that's the best they could play.
Like,
and now these other
Kemba
teams
doesn't scare me in the playoffs.
Yeah,
like I like
these
Kemba,
teams are they're shortening their rotations and they're giving guys way more minutes, and like they're just playing like, dude, the playoffs are going to be miserable this year because like both Philly and the Heat are so talented and they play so fucking rough, man. Like they are just like, they are awful to play against. They love like cheap shots and just like playing hard and like really getting in guys' faces and like bumping them around. And it's just like, it just seems absolutely miserable. And the Celtics just like the Celtics don't seem tough at all.
I keep saying
You
this.
tell that to Wanamaker.
I keep saying this is the year where basically the story, I think, is going to be that the team that was the healthiest won the championship. Like, I just don't think that there's another team like the Warriors where you can lose your, one of your MVP caliber players and still be the contender. Like any team, if they lose one of their MVP guys or their top star, doesn't have like three other stars who are like, we got it. Like I think
it's it's like when like the LeBron's first go with Cleveland, when they were like first, like LeBron's first go with Cleveland, where like Cleveland was first in the conference every year and then could not make the finals. And it was the type of thing where it was like, the best guy is on a team that's like pretty good, but like he just runs up against somebody else where that's like not quite enough. And then, it ends up being like, the Lakers are the super team because they have Bryant, Gasol, and Odom, which in retrospect, like that is a bit of a super team.
And Bynum at that time was pretty amazing.
That one year that 1 year where Bynum was a monster, it's like you'd look at that team and be like, oh fuck, like what do you like? Gasol is like really good. Pau Gasol is like a really, really great basketball player, and Odom was also like that 5 or 6 year period where he was like really good. I think that three is like Kobe was starting to drop off, but like that three, I don't put that far behind LeBron and Wade and Bosh in terms of both makeup and like what they can do on the court.
Totally. Okay. Sorry, I did the train thing again where I started thinking about a train. I'm like, what's going on? No, but I'm excited for this next question.
You're the only guy I know who has a literal train of thought. This is
I very much do. Roger, I'm going to keep that. I'm going to write that down, what you just said. I'm going to show that to people when I can tell that they think I look confused. Okay. Yeah. Maybe I guess should be like a memento guy and just like tattoo different thoughts. Like, you know what I mean? Like different kind of like positive reaffirming, like just on my palm, like keep going, stuff like that.
Ask about the weather.
Ask about, exactly. If, have a look, see if you're in an elevator, you know what I mean? Okay. I want us to, we can each have a top three, or we can just kind of like rifle through like maybe a top 10 weirdest guys in the NBA. So Roger, I'm going to nominate you to go first. Just weirdest and let's do players.
Deeply weird, or because like watching Dwight Howard this year with like the purple hair and the really going like I'm Joe super team, like I'm the most friendly play along guy.
Dwight Howard's a wonderful pick.
He's
bizarre.
He's such a strange guy. I never know what's going to happen. And I love that he's actually playing well. It's great. He seems like a bona fide weirdo.
He for sure goes to the Joker by himself, with that hair, and
for Halloween he has gone as both Heath Ledger and or all three of like Heath Ledger, Jared Leto, and Joaquin Phoenix Jokers.
Okay,
well, he does like two of the Jokers, but he splits them down the middle. He goes like, I'm Two-Face and the Jokers.
Will, who's another weird guy?
God, I forgot to think about this one. I think.
I
know what?
I got
I'm
some
gonna go
loaded.
with,
if you sorry. Go ahead.
I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna go with Kevin Love only because like he is like the one of the like people say that Marc Gasol can be like a real prickly guy as well, but I think like Kevin Love right now is like the number one like prickly personality because he famously like didn't get along with his teammates when LeBron was there because he's just like I think he either has like a dry sense of humor or like
that was like the fit in fit out thing.
Yeah, and it was like it's also like he is like clinical depression and is also no guy in the league is as miserable as he is. That shit of him throwing that insanely hard chest pass, like walking over, yelling at was it Whitehead, and then just like hurling a chest pass at a guy.
Oh no!
I see that
Sexton. He was like going over to Sexton, like, give me the ball. It goes over there.
And just like watching that, I'm like that's like maybe it's not necessarily weird, but like. That's a dude at the absolute end of his rope. And I absolutely know that he spends all of his time in the locker room sitting alone, like muttering to himself like a mass shooter.
Yes. Okay.
And also Ben Simmons would be my other pick because what the hell are you thinking developing the skill set you developed? Anyway, sorry, go ahead, Freddie. Like you have to be a weird guy to be like, threes? Not for me.
He is a weird guy. There's a documentary that either Showtime or HBO made about him, and he really, he doesn't come off great.
Yeah, and I mean, also, like, I understand they're going through a lot, and some of us might have some personal connections to the place, but, like, Australians are weird. They are a weird people.
I love them, and yes, they are as advertised.
Yeah.
Why are you submitting Baines?
No, I'm because Simmons is Australian, right?
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah. Sorry. I think
so's Kyrie. Kyrie is also on the all-time weirdos list.
He's got to be on the weirdo list, right?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if this is like cheating because he's not currently playing, but I was going to suggest because of the news this week, Kendrick Perkins. I think he's definitely like I remember when he played, it was odd. It was kind of like, he, like in the same way that like, there's people who don't like Gasol and they're like, oh, he doesn't have the counting stats. Like Perkins was like that, but like he also didn't really have like the advanced stats, and he just has like a constant furrowed brow.
He's just a huge guy that would clog the lane.
Totally, and I think and now this like. The way he's going for KD's jugular, it just seems like, and I know KD's firing back or whatever, but like Kendrick Perkins, and like there was that time where he like almost got in a fight with Drake. Like Kendrick just seems to be one of those guys who are like, what's going on, buddy? My other guys are James Harden, who I think just operates in his own world. And also I got to throw a bone to Serge Ibaka, who I think has got to be one of the weirdest guys in the NBA.
Yeah. Also, James Harden is also like, this is not like a value judgment thing or like a homophobic thing or anything, but like he also is like a lot of his mannerisms are like I find to be sort of uniquely feminine in the league. Like he likes to do a lot of like sassy eye rolls and stuff like that gif of him like rolling his eyes and like kind of like swirling sideways out of the frame of the camera. Like no one else in the NBA interacts with people like that. And it's like one of the other reasons I cannot help but have a like soft spot for James Harden. Totally. Because he has weird interactions with people. Yeah. I do think his game is like hurting the NBA in terms of like how you like he's almost like a bit of the equivalent of the neutral zone trap where it's like, I understand this is an effective way to win, but like, holy shit, can it be miserable to watch sometimes? When two teams are bad and they play like the Rockets, that is one of the worst nights of your life watching that game.
I mean, that's the continuum of like rules in sports. It's like really, really good players kind of like push the boundaries of like what the sport is, from the carry to the travel to the Euro step to the gather. Like, I think it's like we're kind of just like witnessing a moment of that.
Was it Wilt or Bill Russell who like necessitated goaltending becoming a rule?
That was Wilt. Also, I believe you couldn't jump when you shoot free throws was Wilt. Because that was a weird one. I think they were just trying to find ways to make him like less effective.
Yeah, he was like dunking off free throws, right?
Oh yeah, sorry. That's why that actually makes a lot more sense. And yeah, he was dunking.
I could be
That's
wrong about
insane.
that.
No,
I'm not positive, but yeah, he was like dunking from the free throw,
or he was doing
or like
layup,
jumping in. Yeah.
Okay.
So here's sorry to interrupt. Here's a question. Is what's his face? Adams on OKC.
Steven Adams.
Is Steven Adams? Is he
Aquaman
weird? Is he weird, or is he extremely normal in the sense that he is like a classic anime guy?
I can answer that too. He's Australian as well, right?
I think
New
he's
Zealand.
he's from
New Zealand. He's a Kiwi.
Yeah.
Kiwi.
So he's got those Australian things just minus some of the edge.
Yeah, and he talked like when he was talking about like he just like talks weirdly, like when he was like, oh, everybody was really concerned about me getting hit in my nuts, and people were worried about my nuts.
That was weird. I remember that.
Also, we're missing the weirdest guy in the league by far is Robin
Roger.
Lopez.
Okay, the Lopez brothers are both weird, but Robin is weirder.
He's a grown man obsessed with Disney. People that are into Disney as older people are very troubled people.
I'm sorry. I'm so okay. You two are the perfect people for this conversation because you've made me remember the obvious weirdest person in the NBA, Spencer Dinwiddie, who's building Iron Man suit for himself. I'm not even kidding. Google it. If you're at home, Google it. It's like hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like he's having to he can't even pay it all up front right now.
He tried to make like a blockchain out of his career or something, right? Like how did that work? Where it was going to be like Dinwiddie dollars?
Yeah, that one's actually like
it's pretty cool.
It's kind of like a weird, interesting thing because
is he like the guy who was
afraid?
He's like fighting with the league, right?
Yes.
Yeah, he was trying to like leverage his contract or something.
Yeah. So he's up to stuff.
The Lopez brothers, though, it is like because they both have like androgynous. Like if you were like, hey, I know these two people named Brooke and Robin Lopez, and you like listed their interests, you'd be like, this could be like brothers or a brother and sister or like a two 20-year-old like queer women who just got married at Disneyland. Like, who are these people? And then you'd be like, they're both two huge guys in the NBA, just like two enormous brothers.
And they write a comic book together. One writes, the other draws.
Oh, yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
One can play defense, the other can't. It's strange.
One of them insists on harassing every mascot he comes across.
They are like, if you could like combine their powers somehow, they'd be like one of the greatest big men in NBA history.
Yeah, but they are forever split in half. Okay,
I'll treasure my time with them in the league 100%.
Let's. I had one more question, but I think we got to move to quickish questions because
let's do it.
We're running a little long, but it's been a little wonderful, so that's fine.
It's been a little wonderful.
Is that the like scariest Kevin O'Leary thing I've ever said in my life, or what? Okay, Maddie, would you give me that quickish question sting?
Quickish question.
We miss you, David Stern.
Yeah, I was just thinking like, I've got a quickest question for you. Is David Stern dead? Yes.
I do think, Matt, this is our last podcast.
This might be it.
We're trying to get into the NBA. It's taken a bit, I'll say that. But
we didn't kill the guy. What's your problem? We're just having a little fun.
It's all out of respect.
We're just having a little fun dancing on a man's grave.
Okay, well, if we were popular enough and the algorithms picked us up, I'm sure I would get an NBA official knocking on my door. And I would send him straight to Hollywood. That's where Will Weldon is. Go get him.
Where all the stars are celebrating Oscar nom Monday.
You better believe it. Okay, let's do some quickish questions. You guys know how it works. I'm amazing at reading questions. There will be no confusion at any point. You got to answer as quick as you can. No phone a friend. Yeah, Matt loves it when I say that.
Hey,
Okay,
cool,
Matt-
cool, relevant reference, man.
Yeah, no, you guys, if you listen to this pod, you know Regis Philman.
And
Like-
if you don't answer on the time, I'm sorry, you are the weakest link.
Yep. Oh my God, the weakest link. That takes me back. The weakest link and Atari came out at the same time, I think.
What?
Yeah, hey, good one. Another classic Freddyism.
I am on fire. Thank you very
Freddy
much.
Revis crushing it. Crushing it.
Hey,
David
like-
Stern dead.
Okay, Will. Honestly, just start the music, Matt. I'm starting with Roger.
Oh my god.
Roger, you ready?
Yeah, bud.
Okay, it's come from Jonathan. Cast the remake of Fear using only people from the NBA community.
Oh my
Okay.
God.
Mark Wahlberg is Russell Westbrook.
Whoa.
Because I could just picture Russell Westbrook just banging his chest with his fist.
Yep.
And then the Reese Witherspoon would be Kelly Oubre Jr.
Oh, that's amazing. Will.
You know who should play the Reese Witherspoon part is Empty Stats.
Oh.
Because I do believe Russell Westbrook would cut off a dog's head to get an empty triple-double.
Oh my God. Cut off a dog's head.
He cuts off a dog's head in that movie.
But I'm picturing that now. That's horrible.
Yeah, he pushes it through the doggy door.
I am picturing Russell Westbrook fingering Kelly Oubre Jr. on a roller coaster.
Oh my God.
Oh man, I don't think we should talk about Fear anymore.
You have to watch it.
Okay,
It's not a great reference to the show.
Will, this is from Jonathan as well. He says all-star picks ? You know, that's too much. So why don't you just tell me something that's going to happen? Make a prediction about All-Star Weekend.
I think Trae Young is going to get put in the skills competition, and he will be the first player ever to not finish the skills competition. Has that happened? Has that happened? I don't remember. I don't think you can run out of time, but yeah, I don't know. Whatever. I'm insulting Trae Young is my answer.
Good, I like it. Matt, William Liu joked recently that for the All-Star skills competition, they should have really unsuitable competitors for these events. Example, Ben Simmons in the three-point shooting contest would basically run from one ball rack to the next without doing anything. Who else would you put in a lack of skills competition like this?
Well, I would definitely want to put someone like, okay, so yeah, Ben Simmons doing the three-pointer. Who would be a really bad dunker? Like maybe, I mean, I love the guy, but let's throw Kyle in there for the dunk competition.
Yeah, throw Kyle and Gasol in there?
Yeah. Oh, Gasol would be great too. Yeah, it looks like it takes a year off his life every time he dunks.
Okay, Roger, it's coming from Tristan. You're coaching this celebrity game. Which celebs make your starting five?
My starting five. Gotta go Win Butler, MVP. You go Justin Bieber. Sarah Silverman. She always likes to point out that she plays basketball with Gary Shandling when he was alive.
Okay.
She can just regale us with Gary Shandling stories. Adam Sandler loves ball, and he's hot on the Uncut Gems train. And then I need one more player.
Yep.
Oh, celebrity. Will Weldon.
Whoa.
Okay, Will.
Hell yeah.
Follow-up question by Jonathan. If you're a celebrity playing in this game, what do you do to prevent Win Butler of the Arcade Fire from winning the MVP?
Oh God. You play hard-nosed defense on him. I don't know. You
I
like
think
you grab his long hair and like every time he goes up for a layup. I don't know.
You got to play dirty. You got to spread a rumor that there's been a disaster in Haiti, and then he'll get very distracted.
Yeah, that's like I'm not familiar enough with Win Butler to be able to like adequately come up with a response to this one.
I think I'm familiar enough to say that probably something along the lines of saying like, I love the Killers would really throw him off. Or if you like kind of kept talking about like quoting Bruno Mars tracks. Okay, Matt, this has come from Matt. Now, very, very similar to your first question, so listen closely.
Oh, boy.
Lou Williams, not William Lou, joked recently that for the All-Star Skills Competition, they should have really unsuitable competitors for these events. Example, Ben Simmons in the three-point contest would basically run from one ball rack to the next without doing anything. He then faded to his right from the mid-range and clanked a shot off the back rim. Who else would you put in a lack of skills competition like that?
Is this the same?
It's the same question. Is this
It's the
different?
same question, except this time it's from Lou Williams, not William Lou.
Oh my god!
And it's while he's taking a shot, so let that affect your answer.
Oh god, I hate this. I'd say that I'd like to put. You know what? I want to bring back my boy Chuck Hayes for a 3-point competition.
I love it. Okay, 2 more questions here. Roger, the Warriors are on pace to go 18-64 this season. Seriously, has anybody checked on Ennis?
I haven't.
Yeah. So there you have it, Jonathan. Roger has
No
not
one's checked on him?
Ennis.
Isn't he
And if
supposed to be at Will's right now?
We don't know. We don't know where Ennis is. Maybe, I don't know, maybe went to Santa Monica. I know some neighborhoods in LA now, so I'm going to try and quote them periodically.
Yeah, I feel like Ennis every day. I feel like I am seeing him constantly post a new post on Facebook that he needs to sublet his apartment for a different period of time.
If you need an apartment, get a hold of Ennis, especially if you're an injured Warrior. Okay, last question, Will. It's coming from Matt. Toronto celebrity all-star picks.
Fuck.
So who's the Toronto celebrity all-star team?
Oh boy. Okay. I'm gonna go positionless. I'm gonna start with Cardinal Official.
Oh yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I'm going real. And then just because I feel like tension really can help teams. You don't want everybody to be too good of friends. I'm also going to put Chaos on there because they famously had a beef 17 years ago.
I thought you were going to say Doug Ford, but okay.
No. Oh God, who was the mayor of Toronto before Rob Ford? What was his name?
David Miller.
Mayor Miller.
Yeah,
Mayor Miller.
We'll throw Mayor Miller on there as a stabilizing presence that everyone can slowly grow to hate over a period of years.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God. We'll go. We'll throw Michael Cera on there, even though I think he's from Brampton.
Yep.
Yeah.
We'll put him on there because I don't know.
He was Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah, exactly. We'll go, Michael Cera as Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah.
And for the last one, we'll go with, as opposed to there have been the Twin Towers and lots of famous twosomes with tough names. We'll go in the opposite direction and we'll go with the Willowy Boys, Michael Cera and Jay Baruchel in the backcourt.
Oh my God.
Jay Baruchel might be from Vancouver. I'm not 100%.
He's from Montreal.
He's a Montreal
Yeah.
guy.
Oh yeah.
Is he a Montreal
Listen,
guy?
Yeah. But he lives here
he's
now.
welcome on the team.
Why the hell did he
I'm
sheed?
I'm just glad you didn't choose at the sock.
Roger, is there any special
At the
mentions that should be on the team? Toronto celebrities.
The Weeknd and whoever that chef guy is. What's his name? Matty whatever.
Oh, Matty Matheson.
Yeah, that guy.
That's a good one.
I'd like to see Sloan on the bench.
Yeah. The four
That fills out
guys
your
in
whole
front.
bench.
Yeah. Your whole bench is Sloan. Thanks.
And then I can think of like multiple Toronto quasi-celebrities I would not put on the team because of weird rumors that have been swirling for years about their personal life.
Yeah, let's leave those bastards off. And let's just say Nelly
Who needs that
Furtado.
eyebrow ring on the bench, you know?
Yeah. Nobody ever. Okay, that's the pod, guys. Thank you both so much. Roger, what's up? What you're doing shows? You're writing for shit?
Yeah, we got stuff coming up. I guess big one again. We were talking about I was talking about Adam Sandler not too long ago. A bunch of us are going to organize a reading of the Grown Ups 3 spec script that Tom Sharpling wrote.
Wow!
So we're going to do a live reading of it at the Bad Dog Theater on January 29th at 8 p.m. So, and all the proceeds are going to charity. So come out and see that. It's going to be really funny.
That's amazing. Okay, check that out, everybody. Will,
hilarious.
what's up? What are you working on? What are you doing?
I don't know, man. You know, who knows these days? Hey, look, you know what? You know what you can do? You can go fuck yourself. That's what you can do. I don't know what. I don't know what.
Sick.
Who cares? I mean, I'm as almost as far away as possible while remaining on the continent. So like, I just don't know what I'm gonna be able to bring out.
It's
I don't
funny.
know.
You actually fooled me that time.
Call satellite radio and ask them to play tracks off of my album. I get paid an okay amount of money from that.
Okay, you hear
Or
that?
not call, but like email. I think it's email. I don't know.
You hear that, folks? If you find Will charming, then you get on the horn and you call satellite radio and you wait. You wait on hold and you just make it happen for him. Okay? Jeezy, crazy.
What about you, Fred? You going to be on any trains in the upcoming future? Or?
Yeah, I'm going to be doing my Neil Breen thing. I'm going to try and make a movie inspired by trains, planes, and automobiles all by myself. I'm going to star in it. I'm going to produce it, direct it, edit it. And I'm just gonna rock it. No, but
will you also be casting yourself as the women who are like visibly uncomfortable to be kissing you in your love scenes?
Those are definitely the most disturbing parts of his movies. Everyone else, that's not him.
Those are the parts that are like less, like there are moments in those where I'm like, this is less fun to watch, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, totally. Like I was having a laugh, and now this is pretty scary.
Although that noise the noise he makes in I think Fatal Findings when he and his wife are like naked in the pool, and she gets like sniped while he's holding her, and he just goes, "Jeez!" Like that is great movie making.
Yeah,
oh
that's
funny.
Top-notch comedy right there.
Yeah. Jeez.
Oh, jeez.
Okay, buddies. Yeah, thanks for listening to the pod. Help us out. Trust me, those toques are on the way. And we'll be back next week. Maybe with Ennis, maybe with Will. We'll see.
It's the Confederacy of Dunks Basketball Podcast.